bring in Republican strategist, former Reagan-Bush National Campaign Director, Ed Rollins right now. Ed, good to see you.
How are you this morning? Good morning.
Bill Kristol, what is he thinking?
I can't tell you what Bill's thinking, but I can tell you there's no reality to it. No one can put an independent campaign together today. Even if they had $100 million, it wouldn't make a whole lot of difference. We have our field. Sanders is going to continue to fight Hillary to the convention, but Romney is our nominee, and I'm sorry, not Romney. Trump is our nominee. That's a Freudian slip. Romney is not our nominee. And Republicans, I think, are coming around, coalescing around.
And Romney's pulled back. I mean, he's stopped.
He's already hurt himself, and I think obviously Mitt is a very fine man, but I think talking about it for too long and not supporting the candidate damaged him somewhat.
Does this damage the Republican Party? How damaging is Bill Kristol's move? What do you think?
Not at all. Bill is a good friend of mine, but he's not relevant in this conversation.
Governor, weigh in here.
I don't think it hurts the party. I think it hurts these people who are acting like the Japanese soldiers who were living in caves 30 years after the war. They just didn't know it was over. Folks, we got two people. It's Hillary, it's Donald Trump. And if you're a Republican, there's no way that you can say Hillary's okay. What is wrong with people? I don't get this. So I think that people like Bill Kristol, I don't know what he's thinking and who he thinks he can roll out, but it would be a disaster for whoever thought that would be a great idea.
The question is, an independent can't come out and win this thing. They've already missed some of the states. But can an independent come out and win enough votes to make it that much harder for Trump to win?
If it's a serious candidate and someone who took Republican votes away, obviously we need every Republican vote we could. It could have an impact. I would be more worried about Bernie Sanders not going away if I was a Democrat. I think he likes this game. I think if he feels he's not fairly treated, there's no reason for him to get to the back of the lobby in the Senate. So my sense is he and his people may very well decide they want to make a run here.
And then he potentially winds up on the debate stage, right? I mean, if he makes a third-party run, would he be standing up there with Hillary and Donald Trump?
He would, because I think 15% is the threshold they usually use for an independent candidate. And my sense is Governor, you may disagree, but I think he has a potential movement in the future. These young people are not going to roll over and be part of the Democrat Hillary team.
Would he take as many of Trump's votes as he would take from Hillary?
No.
Not the way that he polls.
No.
He wouldn't.
But there's a very significant group of young people that basically are very attuned, and they feel they haven't been treated fairly, and they haven't been part of the establishment, and there's just as much an anti-establishment mood in the Democratic Party as there was in the Republican, and we got the anti-establishment candidate in Trump, and I think most of those people have now been placated, and they're pretty solid behind.
Yeah, you're right. But they didn't on the Democratic side. I mean, they're still battling Hillary, who is the establishment player.
And I'm from California originally. California's a dead even race today. The public policy polling that came out last week has Sanders 2 points behind, and he's the one working hard out there. She had to basically go out there yesterday, this weekend. That's a tired story. So they have proportional, so no matter what happens, he's going to come out of there with almost as many delegates as she does.
Is this like 1980 where I think Jimmy Carter lost 5 of the last 8 primary contests to Ted Kennedy? Now, he won the nomination, but it was still a pretty good indicator of how weak a candidate he was against Ronald Reagan in November.
The interesting thing that nobody talks about, 27% of the Kennedy voters in that race voted for Ronald Reagan. So my sense is going to be a lot of Democrats are going to vote basically for Trump this time, and I think that's going to be a key for him to be a viable candidate.
So the primary in California, well, we should point out that it's California and New Jersey on Tuesdays. Candidates are on both sides looking ahead to next week. This is real important. Bernie Sanders was campaigning heavily in California. You just said that Hillary is sort of doubling down in California as well, but Sanders says he's most focused on defeating Donald Trump. Listen to this.
Let me not worry about Hillary Clinton right now. Let me worry about Donald Trump, this big, brave, macho guy. Most important responsibility is to make certain that the Democratic Party has the strongest candidate possible to defeat Donald Trump and make sure that that man does not become president of the United States of America, which to my view would be a disaster.
Do you see is that a tone that's changing?
No, obviously in public opinion polls, he's a much stronger candidate against Trump or anybody. That won't happen if it ended up being one-on-one and people really get to see what his issues are. But he's the most popular of the 3 that are still in the game. His poll numbers are strong. His poll numbers are overwhelmingly stronger than hers. but she obviously has had the establishment from the beginning and starting to teeter.
So what if he wins California?
I think he could win in California. I mean, I'm not predicting it.
What are the implications of that?
I think that's gigantic. I think if the biggest state in the country, the most electoral votes, and if he comes out of that as the winner, there'll be another couple polls this week, but the last poll that came out there was a 2-point differential.
And how would Hillary respond if she loses California? What does she have to do?
She basically will argue that it doesn't matter because she has the delegates and what have you. And again, the Democrats pick proportionally, so she'll have a lot of delegates. She's not going to get wiped out, but it's not a winner-take-all.
Is there a campaign shakeup or?
I don't think so. I think the problem with that organization is there's a weak candidate, and she just can't get stronger. And so I think she was a much stronger candidate 8 years ago. She's got nothing but stuff to come at her, email stuff, the Senate stuff last week, the judicial stuff. I mean, she's got a very rough summer ahead of her.
Given all of that, I guess, ammo that Donald Trump will have against her, is it worth revisiting Whitewater and things during the first Clinton, Bill's administration?
I think the key thing whenever you're running a campaign is how do you weave the story? And I think the story that you weave is that Trump is a very strong decision maker. There's just nothing but scandal and disarray every time the Clintons are there, and you want more of that. I mean, the governor can go back to his days in Arkansas. I don't think some of those issues are complicated, so it's just you sort of throw them all at the wall and you don't try and make the case again. But it's just the fact that when you have anytime the Clintons are there, there's bedrooms being sold for money, there's Air Force One, there's always money somewhere that's not proper and legal. And I've always felt the Clinton Foundation is the real vulnerability. I would much rather go after her on the Clinton Foundation, the mistake she made as Secretary of State, than go after him.
But it's not an episode, it's a series, and it goes all the way back to the 70s and the early 80s with the cattle futures. Yeah. It's a narrative, and I think that's what Ed's point is that I totally agree with.
But if that investigation on the foundation is not finished until after the election, I mean, how does that?
There's enough, the Clinton cash book and the movie that's coming out and what have you. I mean, there's just enough of that that's very clear. The things that she did. I mean, you're never going to get it all done in time for the election, but there's enough to show the pattern of where she promised she wouldn't do this when she became Secretary of State, violated every promise that she made. Big money was given from foreign entities that basically were to get something special. And you can take some of those and narrowly point those and create the pattern.
All right, Ed Rollins, great to see you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you so much, Ed Rollins there.